Money, fame, and million-dollar contracts. NBA players live a life most of us can only dream of. But here's the twist. Many of them blow it all away. From buying private jets they can't afford, to trusting shady friends, to gambling millions in a single night, these athletes turned fortunes into nightmares.
Because I think I created, with the mistakes that I made in my life.
Today, we're counting down the 20 dumbest NBA players who are currently going broke. Stick around. Number 1 is truly unbelievable. Let's start strong. Allen Iverson, one of the greatest guards ever, earned over $200 million in salary and endorsements. Yet he blew it all on jewelry, partying, and taking care of an entourage the size of a small army. The man once admitted he couldn't even afford a cheeseburger. Thankfully, Reebok set up a $30 million trust fund for him, but he won't see it until he's 55. Until then, Iverson's finances are a mess. And if you think Iverson's downfall was shocking, wait until you hear about Latrell Sprewell, who turned down millions because he thought it wasn't enough. Sprewell infamously rejected a $21 million contract, saying it wasn't enough to feed his family. That decision aged worse than sour milk. His lavish spending habits, yachts, cars, and mansions, quickly caught up to him. Before long, the yachts were repossessed and the houses foreclosed. Sprewell is now remembered more for financial ruin than his highlight dunks. But Sprewell isn't alone. Antoine Walker actually made more money and went broke even faster. Just ask Antoine Walker. Antoine Walker's story is one of the most infamous cases of financial collapse in NBA history. Over his career, he raked in about $108 million in salary and endorsements. But instead of securing his future, he lived large, gambling heavily, buying dozens of luxury cars, and handing out money to friends and family like an ATM. Within just 2 years of retiring, the money was gone, and by 2010 he filed for bankruptcy. The twist? Walker later reinvented himself as a financial advisor, now ironically teaching young players not to repeat the very mistakes that destroyed his own fortune. Now, if blowing millions gambling sounds bad, wait until you hear about Eddy Curry, who borrowed money with an interest rate that will make your jaw drop. Eddy Curry earned nearly $60 million during his time in the NBA, but poor decisions left him flat broke. Known for reckless spending, Curry lived beyond his means, piling on debts that quickly spiraled out of control. His most shocking move came when he agreed to pay back a $570,000 loan at an outrageous 85% interest rate. Yes, you heard that right, 85%. Add in failed business ventures and his appetite for luxury, and his fortune crumbled. Curry's story is proof that when you mix bad borrowing with unchecked spending, even millions can vanish overnight. And while Curry's story is painful, Derrick Coleman's downfall shows that even $87 million isn't enough if you don't plan carefully. Derrick Coleman was a #1 draft pick and one of the league's most promising talents, eventually earning $87 million throughout his career. But instead of securing his legacy, Coleman sank millions into risky real estate deals and spent freely on luxuries. By 2010, he was in debt by more than $4 million and forced to declare bankruptcy. For a player once projected to be an all-time great, his financial ruin is a stark reminder that money without management is a recipe for disaster. Coleman's fall from grace is now remembered as one of the NBA's biggest what-if stories. Speaking of wasted potential, let's move to the all-star Vin Baker, who went from making millions on the court to brewing lattes behind a counter. Baker earned nearly $100 million in the NBA, but between alcoholism, reckless spending, and failed investments, he lost it all. In a humbling twist, Baker took a job at Starbucks to rebuild his life. His journey shows how quickly riches can vanish when discipline is missing. From Starbucks uniforms, we go to Shawn Kemp, who faced a financial avalanche for a completely different reason: child support. Shawn Kemp, nicknamed the Rain Man, was one of the most electrifying dunkers of the 1990s. On the court, he dominated. Off the court, his finances collapsed. Kemp reportedly fathered at least 7 children with 6 different women, and the child support obligations alone drained a massive chunk of his NBA fortune. Add in luxury cars, expensive homes, and questionable business moves, and his money quickly vanished. Despite earning tens of millions, Kemp's financial empire crumbled, leaving him far from the wealthy star he once was. And if you think Kemp's situation is rough, wait until you hear how even Scottie Pippen ended up broke. Scottie Pippen may have been Michael Jordan's perfect partner on the court, but off the court, money management was never his strong suit. Despite making over $120 million, poor investments and shady financial advisors cost him dearly. His most infamous move was buying a $4 million private jet that turned out to be grounded. It needed another $1 million in repairs before it could even fly. While Pippen isn't entirely broke thanks to his legacy and appearances, his net worth is shockingly low compared to what it should be for a six-time champion and Hall of Famer. But at least Pippen enjoyed a long career. Some players, like Chris Washburn, lost it all almost instantly. Drafted in the top 3, Washburn's career collapsed after just a few years due to drug problems. His financial downfall was equally fast, as addiction drained every dollar he made. Today, he's remembered as one of the biggest busts and one of the brokest former stars. Now from busts to a flashy guard who bought cars like candy, Kenny Anderson. Anderson earned $63 million but blew it all on cars, jewelry, and bad decisions. At one point, he admitted he owned 8 luxury cars at once. Add in 7 children, multiple divorces, and huge child support payments, and the money vanished. And speaking of family troubles draining fortunes, Larry Johnson's story takes it up a notch. Johnson made over $100 million, but found himself drowning in child support obligations. Legal troubles and poor money management worsened things, leaving him financially unstable. Once the face of NBA marketing campaigns, Johnson is now more famous for his financial collapse. At least Johnson still has some legacy. Charles Barkley nearly lost his fortune thanks to casinos. The Hall of Famer isn't broke today thanks to TNT, but he admitted to losing nearly $30 million gambling. Imagine blowing Hall of Fame money on slot machines and poker tables. Barkley is financially stable now, but he's the first to admit his gambling nearly destroyed him. Barkley bounced back, but Joe Smith wasn't as lucky. Joe Smith, the former #1 overall pick in the 1995 NBA draft, earned around $61 million during his 16-year career. Yet, instead of financial security, Smith found himself broke after a series of disastrous money choices. Costly divorces, heavy child support obligations, and bad investments drained his fortune. By 2018, shocking fans, Smith was seen working everyday jobs just to get by, an unimaginable fall for someone once drafted above stars like Kevin Garnett. His story is a powerful reminder that no amount of talent can protect you from poor financial decisions. And if Joe Smith's story is sad, Delonte West's is downright heartbreaking. Delonte West's financial downfall stands as one of the most tragic in NBA history. Despite earning millions in his career, West battled personal demons, mental health struggles, substance abuse, and poor money management that left him broke. At one point, he was spotted panhandling on the streets, a haunting image of how far he had fallen. Fellow players, including Mark Cuban, have tried to help him with treatment and support, but his struggles continue. West's story isn't just about lost money, it's about how life off the court can completely shatter even the brightest careers. And while West's downfall was tied to personal demons, Dennis Rodman lost his fortune in classic Rodman fashion, wild living. Rodman made millions but partied harder than anyone. Multiple divorces, child support, and eccentric spending left him broke. His lawyers even admitted in court that he couldn't afford basic payments. Today, he relies on appearances and small deals to survive. Another player known for questionable judgment was J.R. Smith. Smith earned over $90 million, but his money problems came from overspending and failed investments. Known for his streaky shooting and wild lifestyle, Smith's finances are far smaller than what you'd expect from someone who played in the league for over a decade. And speaking of wasted potential, Derrick Williams' story is another sad one. The former #2 pick made millions, but lost it just as quickly. Williams overspent on cars, jewelry, and parties. Even while playing overseas, he struggled to regain financial stability. His story is proof that high salaries don't last without discipline. And while Williams wasted money, Allen Iverson's entourage drained him completely. Iverson's generosity became his downfall. He took dozens of friends everywhere,